Good morning and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Wednesday, July 1st, 2020. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I'm Tom Orr, and today I'm joined by Marc Givler. He's one of our lead recruiting analysts for BuckeyeScoop.com. Marc, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. I'm shacked up at a Fairfield Inn in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, so living the dream.
No place you'd rather be. Marc is down there for the Elite 11 this week. We'll talk about that in a minute, but also want to talk about a pretty highly touted recruit that you caught up with this week, Jager Burton. He is one of the top remaining offensive line prospects on Ohio State's board for 2021. He also recently decided to push back his decision, which was seen as pretty good news for Ohio State overall. Marc, you just talked to him. What can you tell him about that decision to push that back?
Yeah, I mean, he's just very genuinely torn. There's two types of pushbacks that happen. There's a pushback that happens when a kid knows where he wants to go or thinks he does, but maybe wants to validate that decision or needs to sell a parent or a family member or a coach or something on the decision. And then there's the I genuinely have no clue what I want to do type of pushback. And this is definitely the latter. He told me that every visit he takes, he falls in love with that school, and then he goes to the next one, and then he falls in love with that school. So it's been a constant back and forth for him. He had promised his parents he'd take his officials, and as he started to kind of play out this process, and as COVID continued to push things down the road with the visits and not being allowed to do that type of stuff, he just kind of came to the conclusion that he followed through on the officials, no matter how long that's going to take. And so that's where we're at now. I think it's great news for Ohio State. I think an August 24th decision was going to favor Kentucky, and now the Ohio States and the Alabamas of the world can kind of make their push.
Is that really kind of a three-horse race right now between the Tide and the Wildcats and the Buckeyes?
I think it is. Clemson and Oregon are in there. They're supposed to get official visits. He is pretty close with Walker Parks, a Clemson incoming freshman, which I guess could maybe make things interesting down the stretch if he does the full round of officials as expected. But right now, I'm looking at this as kind of a staying at home with Kentucky versus maybe branching out to a more national program like Ohio State or Alabama, and what that could mean, for his development and just life after football, things like that. So, those are kind of the decisions he's weighing right now. I know he's talked to me a lot about, where he wants to live after football's over and how he needs to start researching that a little bit more. So that could be an interesting thing that comes up on official visits as schools try and sell him on that aspect.
Where does Ohio State see him potentially fitting on the line? Is he a guard, a tackle, or is it just kind of get him on campus and figure it out at that point?
Yeah, I mean, teams in Ohio State's not alone here. Teams are telling him pretty much anywhere. He's even been practicing snapping the football a little bit in case he would need to play center. If you ask him, I mean, he plays tackle in the high school level. He has grown a little bit. He's legitimately 6'4", maybe even 6'4.5" at this point. So he could maybe play on the outside. He's a pretty good athlete. I think Ohio State sees tackle guard combo there. So they're going to kind of figure that one out later, I guess, with him. As they've done with several guys over the years, they kind of play their best five when they can. So he's really a combo guy. And I think, again, he's done some center snapping. He's working on that. I think he would prefer to play tackle, and then next would prefer to play guard. I think center is kind of a last resort if it gets him on the field earlier type of thing. But for Ohio State's purposes, he's kind of a flex guy. They got a few of those in this class, actually, kind of like a Donovan Jackson or Ben Christman, who can probably play inside or outside.
We mentioned off the top, Marc is in lovely Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is not a vacation. He is there for work.
Yeah.
Marc, you are there for the Elite 11. It's a camp involving some of the best quarterback prospects in the nation. For people who might not know a lot about the Elite 11, can you sort of share a little bit about the process of how players end up getting selected to play, be a part of that?
Yeah, it's a little different this year. Normally, you would have a bunch of regional camps, and based on your performances at those regional camps, they would whittle it down to, it says it's Elite 11. It's generally been more than that lately, but whittle it down to 15, 20 guys and have your finals. This year's obviously a little bit different. COVID shut everything down. They got a couple of regionals in, I believe, but did not get the full schedule in. So a lot of this was film evaluation. Obviously, I'm sure recruiting rankings played a bigger role this year than any other year, just because you're just going blind on some of these guys if you didn't get to see them at a regional camp. But so that's kind of the genesis of it. And then from there, it's a couple of days of they do drill work out on the field. They do all sorts of accuracy competitions, and they do some things where they kind of try and simulate, some of the throws they're going to be asked to make at the college and pro levels. Historically, again, this week's probably a little bit different, but historically they have done a lot of stuff on the chalkboard. Kind of they'll take them back in, they'll work with them in the film room a little bit. I'm sure there's still some of that going on this week. But it's a cool thing for the kids. I mean, you get a lot of good, valuable experience that, you really can't get anywhere else. They've got good coaches. They got guys like Justin Fields are down here as camp counselors, kind of, just giving back. Someone had to show Justin Fields the ropes at some point, and now he's, got an opportunity to kind of give back, and really the kids get excited when guys like that come back and do this stuff. So it's great for everybody.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Fields because I think people probably looked at him and there was some video of him like running routes, and I think people might have gone, what the heck is Justin Fields doing running routes at a high school football quarterback camp? But yeah, he was an Elite 11 quarterback when he was in high school, and now it's a chance to kind of pay it forward to some of the other guys. Is that something that, can you do a little recruiting while you're down there as a counselor as well? Like, hey, I'm enjoying my time at Ohio State. You might enjoy your time at Ohio State too.
Yeah, I am sure that stuff can happen. This week specifically, probably not too much opportunity. Kyle McCord's already committed, and of course down here, Justin. No young guys this year, so it's kind of just a bunch of guys who either aren't considering Ohio State at this point because they've got their quarterback, or a bunch of guys who are committed elsewhere at this point. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I'm sure, a word has been put in. I know they had some guys work the opening last year, Chase Young and J.K. Dobbins. I am sure some good words were put in about Ohio State when they get a chance. It's a fun event. You asked about Justin Fields running routes. What another interesting thing this year is, generally you would get a lot of local kids there to kind of be receivers for the quarterbacks, and oftentimes the finals of this has coincided with the opening, so you'd get some of the other receivers from the opening there too as well to kind of help the quarterbacks with the route running and having someone to throw to. So it's, again, the whole COVID thing and social distancing and all that stuff. I think they're trying not to put as many people at risk as possible. So that's probably a big part of the reason Justin's out there kind of playing a little receiver. But it's a very valuable tool, I think, for these guys. I think you can learn a lot. I don't get too caught up in the performance of guys throwing, sometimes against air, sometimes with just a receiver and no defensive back. But just the things you can pick up mentally, the advice, the types of people you're going to get to work with. It's always been a fun event for me to cover.
You mentioned Kyle McCord, who's Ohio State's 2021 quarterback commit. He's one of the players there. Who are some of the other big names who are there this year?
Well, you can't mention Kyle McCord without J.J. McCarthy, the Michigan commit. Obviously, that's going to be something to watch here these next couple of days. See how those guys do. I had a chance to watch them at the Rivals Challenge last year at the same camp, so this will be my second time kind of seeing them at the same event. But so that's a guy I'm sure Ohio State fans are going to be watching. Caleb Williams, uncommitted 5-star quarterback's another big name. He's by probably leading Oklahoma right now. I know that's another guy Ohio State fans are going to want to keep an eye on because Ohio State was recruiting him at some point, and also because of some of the ties people are trying to make between him and Emeka Ibuka, the 5-star receiver, and kind of some of the other recruits out there. So I'm sure he's a guy that will be of interest to Ohio State fans. But I know Sam Heward had to pull out, I believe like a teammate or something tested positive for COVID, and he didn't want to put anyone at risk this week. So, but if you look at the list, and I'll post it on our site here later today, it's most of the top quarterbacks in the country are here for the 2021 class.
Well, Marc, thank you for making time to speak with us this morning, and we will let you get back out to the field. But we will definitely have to have you back on Friday to kind of review what you've seen this week, give us a kind of a recap of who you talked to, what you learned. Is there anyone in particular that you are really excited to see in person?
I think it probably is Caleb Williams. I didn't get to see him last spring on the camp circuit, and he was at a camp that I was at, but he did not participate. He was just kind of walking around. So I've heard so many good things about him. I've seen a lot of McCord. So I'm obviously always excited to see Kyle, but and see the progress he's made, since the football season. I did see him against IMG Academy back in the fall. So of course excited to see Kyle, but I haven't really seen Caleb yet. So he's kind of a consensus 5-star guy. And so I'm always curious when I can see a guy like that for the first time.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to talking to you on Friday and hearing your analysis and insights on what you've seen. This is a big week for us at BuckeyeScoop.com. Saturday, July 4th, the last opportunity you will have to sign up ever at any point to be a member of our Founders Club. That's it. The door closes Saturday, July 4th. So if you want to get in, you got to sign up to be a member before then. All you have to do is sign up to be a paid member of the site. You get to be part of some special perks, including access to our Founders Club, live events, prizes, and more. All you have to do, sign up to be a monthly member before then, give it a month, see if you like it. As we have said on Buckeye Weekly, we haven't had anyone say, hey, I didn't like this. I would like to get out. I have not heard one person say that, and people on the internet like to complain about things. So if you want to give it a shot, if you have thought, yeah, maybe I give it a shot, this is the week to do it. This is your last chance to be part of our Founders Club and get all those special benefits. You can just do that at BuckeyeScoop.com. And while you're there, you can check out all of our great free content, plus even more insight analysis and insider reports in our members section. So thank you guys for listening. Make sure you find us on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. Subscribe, rate, and review us right there. Have a great day, and we will talk to you tomorrow.